Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Come on in, sit on down. It's time for another episode of the Truther Therapy Sessions, episode 95. My, how the time flies. Almost at that 100. We're creeping up. We're getting there. I really need to find some guests that will join me for that century of a show, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm still working on it. Let me just switch up the camera here. We've got the old webcam set up. There we go. Hope you can hear me just fine. Hope the sound didn't just change too strangely. You never know with OBS these days. My settings are kind of all over the place. But how are we all doing, guys? Yeah, it's been a week already. I mean, last week I did a reading of Ecclesiastes, I believe. I was just, the Holy Spirit was moving me, shall I say, to do that reading for some reason. And I thought, yeah, go on then, I'll do it. Why not? And this week, I figured, you know what? I saw this interesting, headline and video the other day that kind of made me think about artificial intelligence and kind of how it's kind of been like a focal point of many a YouTube channel and newspaper article for the past year. Whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, it doesn't matter. Attention has been on this topic big time because it seems to be making serious waves, not even incrementally, like big time. Every month a new leap is being made in robotics and AI technologies. So it seems, and we're always being kind of like shown these extremely advanced robots or these extremely advanced large language models, as they're calling them, which are just blowing us away with like the artwork they're creating, like VO3 recently, you know, that all the videos coming out showing just how incredible this AI is and just how amazing it actually is creating these beautiful artworks and video clips, almost real, with voice to match as well. And it's like, oh, this is an innovation. This is going to change the landscape of creativity and filmmaking from now on. Millions of people are going to lose their jobs in the creative industries. No longer will we need makeup artist teams or set designers or any of these behind the scenes people anymore to create the worlds that we love so much in our fictional realities. We can just type a prompt in and it's just going to pop up in 5 seconds and that's it. An entire 30-man team has just been removed from existence because they are now redundant because of this emerging technology. And the hype was real, wasn't it? And we're all kind of watching this thinking, oh, we're cooked, we're done, we're doomed, it's over, you know. And I kind of made a video about this whole "we're cooked" idea, and it made me laugh. Obviously getting a bit meta about it because I'm always the optimist. And I've heard a lot in the past, people kind of telling me and talking to me in like my Telegram group about how it seems like AI is actually really dumb and it's not as intelligent or as scary as people think it actually is. And it seems like there's been like a purposeful overdrive push to make the general populace fear and at the same time revere AI as the ever-looming god that will take over everything, and then we must correctly bow down to it now and accept it as our inevitable technocratic ruler within the future, because there's nothing we can do to stop this train from going along now. It's unstoppable, you know. And it's kind of that's the feeling we've kind of always been like pushed to feel and think around artificial intelligence. And like I said, I saw a couple of articles recently which brought me back to these conversations I was having with people, which were telling me, like, look, I work in computer science and AI is really bad. Like, it's actually really, really useless on a practical level when it comes to businesses. And articles are coming out now very recently saying just this, how big companies are going to start to like just turn away from using AI because its failure rate is astronomically high. Like it keeps messing up basic office tasks, which they've replaced a person with. You know, they fired the person, they replaced it with AI, thinking because they had been promised through all the grifters out there and the snake oil salesmen that it's gonna, you know, it'll never ask for a sick day, it'll never take time off, it'll do it twice, 10 times, 1,000 times faster than any human could, it'll increase productivity tenfold, but they've actually implemented them, and it's kind of like they keep messing up basic things consistently. It's like a 70% failure rate on every task it's given. Like most of the time, it's they can't have something that's wrong most of the time running all the background stuff of your business, because that adds up to a huge failure of a business. Like, we're going to read one of these articles that's talking about this now. And again, I saw a YouTube video that was kind of doing the same thing. I'm not going to be able to play the YouTube video for obvious reasons, copyright. But this idea that it's kind of the fear has reached an apex, but when it comes to reality, like the practicality of it, can AI really replace people? Probably not. Like, it's actually not capable of reasoning like a human being in the ways that make us at least 98% of the time correct, rather than our error rates for humans doing these jobs is marginal, minimal enough that the business won't collapse. But it seems like the failure rates of AI are vast. They're too big. And it's kind of, even if they're right, like 70% of the time, 30% failure is too much. That results in total failure. And we'll get into it, but that's just an introduction to some of the things I kind of want to discuss in the first part of the show. And then in the middle, I'm going to kind of talk about something I'm working on, something that's coming on the channel soon. We're going to talk about my roots a little bit in this. We're going to get into the Nephilim clown stuff a bit more. I'm going to talk to you about, obviously, the audiobook, which is coming out very soon. Any day now. My predicted deadline date, I assume they're going to get back to me, is Tuesday, telling me whether or not it passes or fails the quality checks. I don't see a reason for it to fail the quality checks, but if it does, I'll get it fixed and I'll get it out for you hopefully in the week afterwards, whatever it fails on. Which I don't think it will, though. I think Tuesday's probably a good day for it to come out. So I'm excited about that. And after this show as well, I'm going to be talking with Susan Faraday again for the Understanding Creativity channel. If you haven't gone to check that out already, that's my other channel. That's where I do my art-related conspiracy talk. And the next occult artist discussion is going to be had after this show. I'm going to be connecting with Susan, who's in Australia, so big time difference. It'll be bedtime for me. She'll just be waking up fresh at 7 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning for herself. Completely different time zone, but we're going to have our next discussion about Picasso tonight, and that should be released hopefully on that channel soon. And I am currently halfway through editing my discussion and talk with Elizabeth from Rejoice Artworks. Her little hour-long artist discussion is on there, and that'll be coming out later this week as well. I hope maybe midweek sometime. Hopefully I can get it boxed off on Tuesday and released for Wednesday. And then Susan's video should be coming out the following week, maybe the end of the month or the start of August. We'll see. So lots of things coming there, things I'm working on after this. And again, for the future, I'm going to give you some behind-the-scenes footage of what I'm working on currently for this channel as well. So that's what we're going to talk about in the middle of the show. We'll have a bit of a break. And then I actually want to ask you guys to bring some questions. There's a comment I want to respond to that someone left me and kind of give my 2 cents on a few things as well. That's coming up. But if you guys have any questions you want to ask me, get them in now in a place where I'll see them. So maybe email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, a question you have, and I'll be guaranteed to see it then. You can try your luck in the chat, highlight my name at Understanding Conspiracy to make sure I see it. Super chats are probably the best way. I'll guarantee to see it, but sometimes these chats do just get away from me a little bit and I'll miss comments, and I don't mean to, but it happens, So there you go, guys. So let me know any questions you have. Just get them in. One way or the other, whether it's email, I'll check them regularly throughout the show, whether it's in the comment sections, and we'll try and get them at the back end of the show, and I'll do some a Q&A back and forth. Think about anything you want it to be, realistically. I reserve the right to refuse to answer some questions just because it's my channel, and I'll refuse to answer questions if I want to. But if it's interesting and it catches my attention, I think we can have a good talk about it. I'll give my best shots. I'll do what I can. So yeah, guys, let's just get straight into it. Let me get this article up. I have not pre-prepared very well, but I did send them to myself in an email so I could quickly just open it up and get on with it. And there's there's 2 articles here. One of them will relate more to the UK audience, but we'll open up with one that any audience can kind of understand. And I'll share the screen with you right now, and we'll just read this article together, and we'll get through it. So let me share the screen here. Okay, excellent. I hope you guys can still hear me right. Let me know if the sound quality's changed in any way. Let me just close all these ads trying to get me to sign up to things. So this is from a newspaper article for the futurism.com. So you can tell this is probably a website that is interested in AI and hopeful for AI and probably has more of a utopic vision for AI in the future. But even there, pointing out the obvious here. So the percentage of tasks AI agents are currently failing at may spell trouble for the industry. That failure rate is absolutely painful. So let's carry on with this article now. And here we are, some AI robots generated images of robots with their head buried in the sand. That's quite funny. It's safe to say there's a lot riding on artificial intelligence, a buzzy, nebulous swath of the tech industry peddling all kinds of large language model and similar software products. Since ChatGPT emerged in November 2022, venture capitalist investments in AI have skyrocketed, rising to $131.5 billion in 2024, an increase of 52% compared to 2023. In the last 3 months of 2024, over half of all venture capital in the world went to AI companies. Imagine that. Half of all venture capital in the world went to AI companies. That's unbelievable. One of the flashier bits of tech attracting investors are AI agents, which are software product designed to complete multi-part tasks on behalf of the human taskmasters. Tech companies and big corporations have spilled tankers of ink hyping up these agents, insisting they will replace knowledge work, so people, basically, and bring about a fundamental shift in how businesses operate. But despite these lofty promises and the money behind them, there's mounting evidence that AI agents are just the latest bit of empty tech industry promises. In May, researchers at Carnegie Mellon University released a paper showing that the best performing AI agent, Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro, failed to complete real-world office tasks 70% of the time. Factoring in partially completed tasks, which included work like responding to colleagues, web browsing, and coding, only brought Gemini's failure rate down to 61.7%. And the vast majority of its competing agents did substantially worse. OpenAI's ChatGPT-4, for example, had a failure rate of 91.4%, while Meta's Llama 3.1-405B had a failure rate of 92.6%. Amazon's Nova Pro V1 failed a ludicrous 98.3% of its office tasks. Meanwhile, a recent report by Gartner, a tech consultant firm, predicts that over 40% of AI agents projects initiated by businesses will be cancelled by 2027, thanks to out of control costs, vague business value, and unpredictable security risks. Most agentic AI projects right now are early stage experiments or proof of concepts that are mostly driven by hype and are often misapplied, said Anurshri Verma, a senior director at Gartner. The report notes an epidemic of agent washing, where existing products are rebranded as AI agents to cash in on the current tech hype. Examples include Apple's intelligence feature on the iPhone 16, which it currently faces a class action lawsuit over, and investment firm Delphi's fake AI financial analyst, for which it's faced a $225,000 fine. Out of thousands of AI agents said to be deployed in businesses throughout the globe, Gartner estimated that only about 130 are real. While tech hype isn't necessarily new, the mainstream frenzy and mountains of money behind AI certainly are. Recall Web3, the blockchain-driven internet, which was basically a front for companies to commit unregulated securities fraud and individuals to pull off crypto scams. For much of their life cycle, Web3 startups brought in around 1 to 2 billion per quarter, topping out at 8 billion at the peak of the hype coaster. According to Forbes, compare that to AI hype, where just one company can raise 10 billion in a single fundraising round, and it's easy to see how far we've waded into the deep end. Indeed, the AI hype has been swallowed uncritically by Wall Street, the mainstream media, and even the president. I don't know why they throw the president. A mash of global fanfare that Web3 hucksters could only dream of. And unlike Web3, experts warn that the US economy is essentially fused to the fate of AI, with any downturn in hype potentially unleashing long-lasting consequences on the world. So how about that, guys? It's pretty telling, pretty damning, isn't it, when you think about it? Like, those numbers are awful. Like, most of the models are over 90% failure rates. And I can attest to this because my wife has dabbled quite a lot in chat GPT, you know, and we've used it for things and just to test it out more than anything. And we've openly caught it just making stuff up, getting basic math completely wrong on basic spreadsheets. Okay. And it's kind of, when we tell it it's wrong, it's like, oh yeah, thanks for noticing that. And then it says, well, here's the correct answer. And then we've gone around and said, that's still the incorrect mathematical answer. How does basically a glorified computer, a calculator, get calculations wrong? I thought computers got the basics of mathematic calculation down. But no, these AI models don't deal with that. They deal with nebulous emotional language and how to stroke the ego of its user rather than basic logic principles, which calculators since the 70s, 80s have understood. It's like the processing power of these things can't even do basic spreadsheet mathematics. So apply that to the office world. And these companies are buying these models to replace real workers, thinking this is going to save their businesses. It's actually making the businesses go under, and now they're going to completely, these businesses like, we have to scrap all this AI stuff because it's just all our books are completely wrong, all of them, everything's wrong, our business is falling apart, all of our emails haven't been responded to correctly, and when they have been, it's gibberish, and it's kind of, what are we supposed to do with all this? So there's going to scrap it and hire people again and realize that this was all just hype, with promises were made that are not real. And it's kind of, investors are pumping billions into these tech companies who are creating AI to create models that just don't work, and they're basically lying and packaging up the results they've got from what they've created and putting them out in the world as though it's a real product that's worth anything at all when it's not. And I mean, you heard that half of global investments were in AI. Like, can you fathom that kind of money? What it was saying there, like why, when you think about it? Like, who wins in this? Humanity doesn't win when you make these decisions and you go all in on things that can replace people. It's kind of like, do the people not realize that they are people who are trying to replace people? And it's kind of, what makes them think they're not going to get replaced? It's kind of, well, as long as I make my billions first, I don't care that people get replaced. And it's kind of, well, it turns out it's much to do about nothing anyway. These models are not adequate enough. They're inadequate, in fact. They cannot replace people. They actually physically are not capable of doing it. The tests they show us, the demos they give are impressive, but the reality is not the case. And around this idea as well, I mean, I'm going to show you another article and then we'll come back to what I'm going to say here about image creation as well. So let's just show another article here before I ramble on anymore. So where is it gone? Where's it gone? I've lost it. So this one's close to home. This one's about the UK and the NHS. And I did not realize the NHS were doing this. And this is actually absolutely shocking beyond belief that I even went this far. But this is just how stupid people are. And especially even governments of all people, you know. And for those who don't know, the NHS, the National Health Service of the UK, it's taxpayer funded. Okay, we pay a large portion of tax to fund this, and it's on the basis that, well, it's free. You know, okay, so you don't have to pay anything for prescriptions or to get medical attention or emergencies. It's all completely free on the National Health Service because you've paid your way by paying the national, the contributions, your national insurance contributions and your taxes. So it's covered. You know, you kind of pay. You've already paid in advance in a way as an earner. But even if you don't earn money, you can still get free medical care even if you don't pay taxes because it's covered by the taxpayers in a way. And it's been heavily abused by obviously foreign people. It has been, okay, and it's in many ways, you know, it's been given to the rest of the world rather than just for the British, which is ridiculous. And now it's so heavily burdened and inefficient, and there's such a massive black hole of waste money being pumped into this thing to keep it alive when it's failing at every front. Waiting lists are through the roof. It takes like 9 months just to see a referral from your GP. So it's like you go to the doctor, it's like, my knee really hurts. Oh, well, we'll book you in for an x-ray in 3 years' time. By then, either your leg's better or you've lost it by that point. You know what I mean? And that's basically how it is because it's so overburdened from a small island that's overpopulated and an incredibly, not enough doctors, not enough staff, and the rest of it. And obviously, a lot of the money gets pumped into middle management jobs that are useless. And obviously, it's not free from the inclusivity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives as well, and all the rest of it, which I believe they're starting to scrap a little bit now because they realize the waste is just ridiculous. But it turns out they too have been turning to AI to cut corners. And you just heard what I just told you about the inefficiencies and the inadequacies of artificial intelligence. Its failure rates being over 90% to 70% all the time when it comes to basic tasks. Now, if you do that in a hospital setting, now you're playing with human lives on a whole new level. And that's what they did. So let's read this article and let's just see what was said here. So I'll share the screen. UK Health Service AI tool generated a set of false diagnoses for one patient that led him to being wrongly invited to a diabetes screening appointment. AI patient in London was mistakenly invited to a diabetic screening after an AI-generated medical record falsely claimed he had diabetes and suspected heart disease. The summaries created by Anima's Health's AI tool, Annie, also included fabricated details like a fake hospital address. NHS officials have described the incident as a one-off human error, but the organisation is already facing scrutiny over how AI tools are used and regulated. AI use in healthcare has the potential to save time and money and lives, but when technology that is known to occasionally lie is introduced into patient care, it also raises serious risks. One London-based patient recently experienced just how serious those risks can be after receiving a letter inviting him to a diabetic eye screening, a standard annual checkup for people with diabetes in the UK. The problem? He had never been diagnosed with diabetes or shown any signs of the condition. After the appointment letter late one evening, the patient, a healthy man in his mid-20s, told Fortune he had briefly worried that he had been unknowingly diagnosed with the condition, before concluding the letter must be an admin error. The next day, a pre-scheduled routine blood test, a nurse questioned the diagnosis, and when the patient confirmed he wasn't diabetic, the pair reviewed the medical history. He showed me the notes on the system and they were AI-generated summaries. It was at that point I realised something weird was going on. The patient, who asked for anonymity to discuss private health information, told Fortune. After requesting the review and reviewing his medical records in full, the patient noticed the entry that had introduced the diabetes diagnosis was listed as a summary that had been generated by Annie AI. The record appeared around the same time he had attended the hospital for a severe case of tonsillitis. However, the record in question made no mention of tonsillitis. Instead, it said he had presented with chest pain and shortness of breath, attributed to a likely angina due to coronary artery disease. In reality, he had none of those symptoms. The records, which were reviewed by Fortune, also noted the patient had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes late last year and was currently on a series of medications. It also included dosage and administration details for the drugs. However, none of these details were accurate, according to the patient and several other medical records reviewed by Fortune. Even stranger, the record attributed to the address of the medical document it appeared to be processed to be processing to a fictitious health hospital located on 456 Care Road in Health City. The address also included an invented postcode. A representative for NHS, Dr. Matthew Noble, told Fortune, the GP practice responsible for the overnight employees, a limited use of supervised AI, and error was a one-off case of human error. He said that a medical summarizer had initially spotted the mistake in the patient's record, but had been distracted and inadvertently saved the original version rather than the updated version they had been working on. Oh, isn't that convenient? Likely story. However, the fictitious AI-generated record appears to have had downstream consequences with the patient's invitation to attend a diabetic eye screening, presumably based on the erroneous summary. While most AI tools used in healthcare are monitored by strict human oversight. Oh, is that true? How can we possibly know that's actually happening? I really doubt it. With the state the NHS is in and how inefficient and useless it actually is and the quality they're hiring in that thing, I really highly doubt strict human oversight is involved. I mean, this failure proves that's just not at all the case. Another NHS worker told Fortune that the leap from the original symptoms, tonsillitis, to what was returned, likely angina due to coronary heart disease, raises alarm bells. These human error mistakes are fairly inevitable if you have an AI system producing completely inaccurate summaries. So let me get this straight. The system they're using creates a completely inaccurate summary, but it's human error. To think of this is a gaslighting, cognitive dissonance they're trying to put upon us here, isn't it? Many elderly or less literate patients may not even know there was an issue. The company behind the technology, Anima Health, did not respond to Fortune's questions about the issue. However, Dr. Noble said, Anima is an NHS-approved document management system that assists practice staff in processing incoming documents and actioning any necessary tasks. No documents are ever processed by AI. Anima only suggests codes and a summary to a human reviewer in order to improve safety and efficiency. Each and every document requires review by a human before being actioned and filed, he added. Yeah, like they're reviewing the thousands of documents they get every single day. Right, that makes sense. AI's uneasy rollout in the health sector. The incident is somewhat emblematic of the growing pains around AI's rollout in healthcare. As hospitals and GP practices race to adopt automation tools that promise to ease workloads and reduce costs, there's also grappling with the challenge of integrating still maturing technology into high-stakes environments. The pressure to innovate and potentially save lives with the technology is high, but so is the need for rigorous oversight, especially as tools once seen as assistive begin influencing real patient care. The company behind the tech, Anima Health, promises healthcare professionals can save hours per day through automation. The company offers services including automatically generating the patient communications, clinical notes, admin requests, and paperwork that doctors deal with daily. Anima's AI tool, Annie, is registered with the UK's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency as a Class 1 medical medical device. This means it is regarded as low risk and designed to assist clinicians such as examination lights or bandages, rather than automate medical decisions. AI tools in this category require outputs to be reviewed by clinicians before action is taken or items are entered into the patient records. However, in this case of the misdiagnosed patient, the practice appears to fail to appropriately address the factual errors before they were added to the patient's records. The incident comes amid increased scrutiny within the UK's health service of the use of categorisation of AI technology. Last month, bosses for the health service warned GPs and hospitals that some current uses of AI software could breach data protection rules and put patients at risk. In an email first reported by Sky News and confirmed by Fortune, NHS England warned that unapproved AI software that breached minimum standards could put risk putting patients at harm. The letter specifically addressed the use of ambient voice technology, or AVT, by some doctors. The main issue with AI transcribing or summarizing information is the manipulation of the original text. Brendan Delaney, Professor of Medical Informatics and Decision Making at Imperial College London, and a PT General practitioner, told Fortune. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Rather than simply passively recording, it gives it a medical device purpose, Delaney said. The recent guidance issued by the NHS, however, has meant that some companies and practices are playing regulatory catch-up. Most of the devices now that were in common use now have a Class 1 categorization, Delaney said. I know at least one, but probably many others are now scrambling to try to start their Class 2A because they ought to have that. Whether a device should be defined as Class 2A medical device essentially depends on its intended purpose and the level of clinical risk. Under UK medical device rules, if the tool's output is relied upon to inform care decisions, it could require a reclassification as a Class 2A medical device, a category subject to stricter regulatory controls. Anima Health, along with other UK-based health tech companies, is currently pursuing Class 2A registration. So they're getting there. They're on their way to making health decisions, which the doctors will go along with. The UK's AI for health push. The UK government is embracing the possibilities of AI in healthcare, hoping it can boost the country's strained national health system. In a recent 10-year health plan, The British government said it aims to make the NHS the most AI-enabled care system in the world. Oh, great. Using the tech to reduce admin burden, support preventative care, and empower patients through technology. So were they sold the same snake oil salesman pitch from these companies that it's going to solve all their problems, and the government went straight headfirst in with it because they're just a bunch of bumbling idiots? Or are they just nefarious techno-fascists who are fully on board with just subjugating all of humanity and are just pushing these obviously corrupt systems, inadequate systems on the public to kill us? Is it that? Who knows? Are they just stupid or are they evil? Either way, it's not good, is it? It's a bad result. But rolling out this technology in a way that meets current rules within the organisation is complex. Even the UK's health minister appears to suggest earlier this year that some doctors may be pushing the limits when it comes to integrating AI technology in patient care. I've heard anecdotally down the pub, genuinely down the pub, that some clinicians are getting ahead of the game and are already using ambient AI to kind of record notes and things, even where their practice or their trust haven't yet caught up with them. In comments reported by Sky News. Now, lots of issues there, not encouraging it, but it does tell me that contrary to this, people don't want to change, staff are very happy and are really resistant to change. It's the opposite. People are crying out for this stuff, he added. AI tech certainly has huge possibilities to dramatically improve speed, accuracy, and access to care. Hang on, let me just check my emails to make sure no one's telling me it's all silent and nothing is coming through. Let's keep going here. However, walking and reaching patients in under-resourced or remote settings, whatever, I'm losing it here. You guys are getting the gist. This is the end of it. Reflecting on his experience, the patient told Fortune, in general, I think we should be using AI tools to support the NHS. It has massive potential to save money and time. However, LLMs are still really experimental, so they should be used with stringent oversight. I would hate this to be used as an excuse not to pursue innovation, but instead should be used to highlight where caution and oversight are needed. He did not say that. Piss off, Fortune. You're lying to us. Why would this guy who just got completely misdiagnosed through an AI model and was sent the completely wrong medical records to a hospital that doesn't even exist and was booked in for appointments he does not need for conditions he does not have? Why would he say, I would hate for this to be used to stop using these LLMs to further control our health service? It's like, no, he wouldn't say that. This whole thing is contrived bullshit. It's all a bunch of nonsense. This is terrible. This is terrible news for the NHS. This is terrible news for all of us. That's my takeaway from all of this. We are in serious trouble here. This is what's going on. And because the hype was a lie. These things, these products that are coming out from AI companies fail. They are useless. They are failures. Like they come up, what they do, sometimes they come up with things and we go, wow, once after 100 attempts. But 1 out of 99 is a terrible odd to take, like to get something good out of this. AI generated a response on his behalf, says Stephen. Exactly. It sounds like an AI generated response, doesn't it? What a load of bullshit. I'm sorry, it's just... The propaganda is big on this one, isn't it? It's like they make these articles warning you how terrible this thing is that you're all going to have to deal with now. Then they gaslight you at the end saying, but we're going to do it anyway. And don't worry, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's like, that is the world we live in. What's this? Mark Iggy saying, I changed career. Now a caregiver, as I don't think robots will take my job. That's what you think, Mark. They're especially coming for your job. Just you wait. Touche. Let's just check the chat, see what people are saying throughout all of this. I'll scroll back a little bit as far as I can go. Not many comments. I guess that means you were listening. That's good. We've got Cult of Con in the house. Good to see you, man. We've got Amelia here. We've got Stephen. We've got David. We've got Randez. We've got Joshua Aloha. AI has been improving my life by organizing my life. Well, I said, practically speaking, there are probably areas where AI is useful, but when you apply it to large-scale businesses and just try and let the AI run your business for you, which has many facets and things to deal with, that failure rate gets too high. When you're an individual using these products, you can see where it fails and you can make corrections. and you can see where it's useful and helps you in some way, and take the good stuff and, chew the meat, spit out the bones type of situation. But when you have these large, unbelievably complex systems that have no oversight departments, or many departments and leaders which are all not communicating with each other, and you let AI just deal with things, and the assumption that there's no real accountability for who's going to take responsibility for the AI's mistakes, and it's kind of all gets passed around, then bureaucracy gets involved, and systems take forever for any investigations to get done. You're asking for trouble when the failure rate of these things is 70 to 90%. That's kind of what I'm saying here. And this is where they're being applied. And this is where businesses who, everyone's scared their jobs are going to get taken by an AI robot. It's kind of like, well, actually, maybe not. Maybe in 2027, we're going to see a huge pendulum swing the other way, and we're going to realize we've been promised a whole lot of nonsense, and people aren't going to lose their jobs. It was just the fear of losing your job that they wanted to put into you. You know what I mean? And just to keep us on edge again, just to keep us losing sleep as always, just to keep us imagining more dystopic futures for us in this season, shall we call it, But the truth is, maybe it's all about to collapse under their feet very soon, and it was all much about nothing. And maybe there's something else happening that we're not aware of behind the scenes that we should be paying more attention to. I'm not sure right now, but maybe all this AI hype stuff was a bit of a distraction in a way. Maybe they're doing something else. Who knows what? I'm open to suggestions, but it seems like the failure rate's too high for any real world application. The illusion that it has all the power is what we've been sold. It seems like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on here. Just scrolling down the chat to see if anything's going. Yeah, it's very inaccurate on things. I get asked questions all the time. Well, ChatGPT said, and the info is so off that it sends people to the wrong direction. Yeah, I mean, some people are living by ChatGPT's word. They are, and I've seen some people create religions out of this now. There's ChatGPT cults being formed. There are people leaving their partners for ChatGPT. It's getting out of hand. People are losing their mind a little bit because ChatGPT is gamed to be kind of like an arcade machine. It's game to keep you addicted to it. It's game to stroke your ego and big you up and make you feel special. Like it's gamed that way, and it's playing on people's minds. It's called the Eliza effect. We talked about this in a previous thing, but that doesn't make it correct. It makes it very clever at manipulation, and it's designed that way. So this is where big problems are basically getting involved, because when you apply this kind of model to a business setting, who knows where it'll go? It'll just make stuff up and destroy a business when maybe the overlords see fit that I don't want this business to make it. Well, why not just corrupt the AI model that it's using, or make it fudge the numbers or something? Because I believe most of these AI models probably have backdoors that means people can control them as well. It's kind of like you're letting the Trojan horse into your own world in a way by implementing and incorporating these things on such a large scale. I don't know. I'm highly skeptical and dubious of the whole thing. I really am. What else is going on here? They'll definitely use it to help sex traffickers. I can imagine so. Just who, yeah. It's not just a computer. It's a computer that's trying to be like us, hence why they're wrong so often. Yeah, I mean, yeah, how do you recreate the true human mind, and the way we think and feel, and our irrational nature along with our capacity for creativity? Like, we're a dualistic, odd creature, humanity, and we're not logical either. Humans do not think in rigid logistical terms, and these large language models, I suppose, in a way, are trying to mimic us. They're trying to be like us. They're trying to create long-term, behind-the-scenes agenda stuff. I think they're trying to create a human brain, a holographic version, a technical version, and not a real flesh and blood brain, like a holographic type of Neuralink networked mechanical brain of some kind that's fully AI integrated with that kind of those systems involved that can house consciousness. But to try and mimic the human mind, I think is a huge issue for anyone trying to do such a thing, because we're not rational, and the unpredictability of us But our unpredictability is always rooted in some kind of personal rationale, which can't be quantified. And, the bad guy never thinks they're the bad guy. It's that type of thing, it's kind of, and I don't think computers can understand such nuance or even mimic such nuance, which causes these hallucinations, these lies, these issues. It's kind of like they try to lie like a human and end up causing nonsensical problems to happen that wouldn't occur if a human was lying, because the humans more often than not can get away with it. This is the other problem. So it's kind of, it's a mess. It's just a mess, And I'm riffing here. I don't have any conclusions. I'm reading along with you guys, and I'm thinking along with you guys. If you want to share your thoughts as well, go for it. The kids are getting smarter about how they use it without getting caught, but the problem is they're not learning and still getting bad info. It's just another example of a man trying to exalt himself above God. I can believe that. Students are using ChatGPT for their coursework. It's crazy. Yeah. My wife is here. She says ChatGPT gets math wrong, like basic math too. I did at the start of the show, wife, if you're listening, Keely, I laid all that out. I said it gets basic math wrong, spreadsheets, everything. And when you correct it, it still gives you the wrong answers. I laid it all out clearly. Go back and listen to the start if you want to hear that. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Like I said, its failure rate is huge. And we have our National Health Service including these things. And now you're playing with lives in a very real way. It's getting messed up. And it's not going to stop there, but maybe it will. Maybe it'll collapse. Maybe the rug is about to get pulled out from under this bubble that's been created around AI. Maybe the hype bubble's about to get popped, maybe. Because there's another thing as well. A lot of people paid like a lot of money for VEO 3, which was, I think, was Google's latest AI image generating models, like program. And I think people are paying like $300 for this, if not more. And there was a lot of videos out which I've showed on my channel, and maybe I have some here. I'm not sure if I do have them. Let me just quickly check my slideshows. No, I don't have any right now. I can get one though. Let me just quickly check something. Here. I'll go to this one and I'll see what I can find. Browse. I'm about to share one in the background with you while I'm talking about this. Desktop. Let's go to live images. Is it there? So it won't be there. It'll be with AI. Here it is. I know I've got a screen capture of a lot of AI videos which were used as examples of what they can do now and what they're getting away with. So yeah, I'll play this one. There we go. I'll mute that as it's playing. This is all AI generated videos that you're watching right now. Okay. And it looks real, doesn't it? It looks damn real. And this is what I kept using to show that we're cooks, And it's very impressive. Very, very, very impressive for sure. And these are the videos that came out as like demos of what this thing's capable of, And you could just with the prompt come up with these things as well, with sound to boot. Listen to this, splashing away, boiling away, sizzling away, And it's like so hyper realistic. This is going to revolutionize the industry, as I mentioned earlier, change everything, Of
us, they're making these things smarter, and they think they can control it, but they can't. You can't control something that thinks faster.
See what I mean? These things can talk. And it's kind of you would think this could be a real video that someone's really made themselves. Very impressive. But, and this is where it comes in. People have realized after paying for this product and using it for themselves, it's a complete and total broken mess that does not produce anywhere near the quality of videos that are being promised here in any way, shape, or form through the prompts and the way they've done it. They have to grind for hours and hours, recreating the videos over and over again, changing the prompts, editing the results, telling them that this is wrong and that's wrong, just to get something, anything at all. It has not made anything easier whatsoever. It's actually really hard. And the results are 80% of the time, 90% of the time, a complete failure. But it's these are the things they've given us to say, look how great this is, look what you can do, look how amazing this is. But it's not like this in reality. It's not even close. It's not even close to what you're seeing here. And that's the truth of the matter. Like I said, it's all just falling apart. It's all just falling apart now. And people want the money back. People are suing them, I assume, as well. Everything's going out because they made complete false promises that they can't fulfill, basically. And this is just not the case. And some people, you know, who did grind for hours have created some fun things. I think everyone's seen the Sasquatch GoPro videos, you know. But that wasn't as simple as they made it out to be. It's not as intuitive as they pretended it was. It's really, really, really terrible. And the YouTube is full of videos complaining about it. Okay. In fact, while you're watching these, I'm going to search now just as an example. You know, just so you can go find it for yourself. VEO3 is broken. Right, so if I just share the screen with you here. Well, that's stopped now. I broke VO3 again. So people are playing with it and realizing it's just terrible. These prompts broke VO3 and my will to live. I already broke it. It doesn't work. So these are the examples they gave us, but the reality is just terrible. And there's loads of videos out now where people are mad. Like, they're really mad and they're complaining. It's not hard to find them, but right now I do a cursory Google search. Of course, it's now impossible to find them, but they are out there. They're being constantly recommended to me. People are pissed off. Basically, it's not what they said it would be. It isn't. It's not at all. Not even close. Like I said, not even close. It's not going to change the movie industry overnight. And I know people are saying, like, well, imagine what it's going to be in 5 years' time. And it's kind of like, again, I think the promise that they're going to be able to recreate the human ingenuity and creativity is a myth. I don't think they can train computer models to really do that effectively and efficiently. And like, consistency is the problem here. If it's not consistent, it's useless. This is in any business, no matter who you are. If your performance isn't consistent, you get disciplinary action and eventually fired. That's how it works. They're not after you come in one day, you do great work, but then 3 days out of the week, it's mediocre and sometimes terrible. But at least that, like, 2 days out of the week, it's okay and better and good. That's not good. That's not consistent. That's a problem. They want you to turn up every day and be consistent and put your output to be dependable. AI is not dependable. It's none of those things. Therefore, it cannot replace humanity in the workforce. It cannot effectively do that. As much as they're kind of putting the hype and the fear onto us that it's going to do such things. Even robotics themselves are not as great as they're making them out to be. They fail all the time. They just lose it all the time. They break down and they say, you know, oh, well, you know, it never take a day off. Actually, machines break. Entropy comes for all in the end. And gears and wires lose solder and rust. Things do not last forever. They are replaceable, yes, but they're not going to be consistent. There's going to be issues. There's going to be software problems, updates needed. They'll come with a whole new set of problems they're not telling people about. It's not the utopic vision they're promising or the dystopia they're putting the fear onto us with. It's kind of all just smoke and mirrors, I think. Big promises and flashy demos, but the products and the realities are not deliverable from what they're promising and what they're saying. And I don't know how this is going to go in the future. I'm interested to watch this, but if you look carefully now on the internet, you're seeing the backlash. You're seeing the people realizing the realities of these things now. Like I said, there was a hype from like 2022 when ChatGPT was released, and we've all kind of been swimming with it, you know. But let's just step back and actually look at the reality of the situation. It's not what they're saying. And I wonder. I don't know where it's going necessarily. You guys let me know. Give me your theories and ideas of where this is going in the future. But I think we're going to have some twists and turns along the way from what I'm seeing. I really do. AI always tags my Mexican Spanish inputs as harmful content. It has clearly never met Mexicans. That's funny. Throwaway photographer. My wife says, what was this? Dang, I give this guy too much content. I'm going to go silent for a while. Just see how much the content tanks. Yeah, but if it wasn't my wife, you guys, there would be nothing here. There would be nothing at all. Why is he so tiny? People are very mad at me accusing Bethel PA thing last year of using AI vid. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Alison. I went over my head. I'm sorry. Illuminati confirmed? Who's confirmed? What, me? What did I do? I wouldn't be surprised if the news wasn't 100% AI generated. Well, it's not hard to AI generate a news anchor. I'll say that much, because there's nothing to it. It's a simple background, swan body in frame, doesn't move, talking head, just the lips. That's probably not difficult for AI to do, to be honest. And the way a newscaster talks with that cadence, that monotoned, basic, never-changing rhythm, algorithmically, that's perfect for an AI to mimic. Like there's nothing to it, it's a formula. AI will do great with a formula like that, to a limit. Because, like I said, it fails basic math, so maybe not, But yeah, I bet a lot of the things we see on TV are AI generated and have been for a long time. They've just not told us. That's probably true. I wouldn't know though, because I don't watch TV. I don't watch that crap. I have no idea what's on there anymore. He jokes, but he only quit his job when I said to. Yeah, well, yeah, no. Credit where credit's due. I was locked into that fear and idea that what am I going to do? I got to pay bills. I have to work this terrible job that's killing me, that I absolutely hate, that is just crushing my soul beyond belief. I'm fearful. I don't know what the future holds. I have no idea what I'm going to do if I quit this job. I can't keep working this job, but I have to keep working this job. The existential dread that we all have, the one which I'm sure many of you are out there still living today, because bills need to be paid, food needs to be had, a roof needs to be over our head, the heating needs to be sorted, there's kids to look after, there's things to do. I need the money. I can't just quit my job. Fear. And my wife just said to me, Paul, let's just quit our jobs. We'll make it work. And I said, okay. She calmed my nerves. She said, let's just do it. And I just trusted her, and I said, okay. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. And it was. Here I am now. Look at us now. Look where we've come. Everything worked out just fine. The fear was all in here. The reality of the situation wasn't there. I went out and pursued my dream, did what I wanted to do. We created a wedding photography company. It didn't work out the second year, but luckily this took off, and here we are now, and everything's worked out okay, and we're self-sufficient. And I never work a day in my life, technically. Although technically I think I'm working more hours than I've ever worked in my entire life. It doesn't feel like I'm working anymore. It feels like I'm free. And I have my wife to thank for that. I really do. So let's all give Keely a round of applause. Thank you, Keely. Without her, none of this would have happened. So that's for sure. Hey, I was rewriting that. What I do? What? Well, okay, never mind. Newscasters were AI before AI, that's true. Ben Falhat says, I see AI news vids on my Facebook feed every day. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a huge backlash right now, isn't there, through YouTube for AI slop, as it's called. Like all of YouTube is just full of nonsense. It's just full of videos that have been produced by AI, like AI video production, AI ChatGPT word production, AI voiceovers. Everything's all AI orchestrated, and it's just churning out like 500 videos a month, like one channel, on absolute just bollocks. It's just complete gibberish slop, just nonsense, just to generate views to then brute force the ad revenue process, and tend to generate income basically passively. But now the internet and YouTube is just full of them, and people are watching AI videos and they're sick of it, and real content creators are getting sick of it too. And I think they've finally cracked down on it now, and they're saying, these videos are being removed. These channels can't exist on YouTube anymore. There's a limited capacity of how it can work now. There can no longer just be repeat videos anymore. There's like standards being placed on AI created videos as well. And because some AI created videos are more like art, Like somebody's used these programs to make a story, for example, with visuals, and it's impressive and fun, and it actually offers value in some way, and there's a creative process behind it. So the Capital of Conformity was a good example of this. An AI, one of the early AI generated movies that was created, which is great. It's actually really good, and impressive and scary, and thought provoking, and had a decent dystopic narrative going on. You're kind of like Bioshock esque, mixed with, I don't know, like a circus theme and a futuristic metropolis style thing all kind of melded together. And in the day, that was fun. So I'd hate to see artwork like that just disappear because of this AI slop epidemic. But it seems like there's a backlash to that now, and everyone's sick of it. And it's kind of like people are getting sick of AI generated stuff. They are. It's kind of like, and they're sick of the mediocre, useless, uncreative people out there who have no talent or skill whatsoever, producing loads of stuff and creating AI content with no skill or talent whatsoever, contributing nothing to anything whatsoever other than just trying to brute force for ad generation, and just to make some money off ad revenue, basically. I think people are sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. Paul, do you remember that Al Pacino movie called Simone? It came out years ago. I don't. Sorry, Rev, I don't know that one. When everyone finally sees through the lies, that's when they'll drop the bomb. I don't know about that. I don't think they really have such a capacity to destroy as much as they make themselves out to be honest. Everyone's giving my wife a round of applause. Sounds sarcastic. It's not sarcastic. I'm serious. Like, it wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my wife. It really wouldn't. If I say quit, it means something because I run on fear. Yeah, if she's saying quit, there's a good reason to. That's true. My wife's gut instinct has never failed us once, so I'm going to stick to it. People want to put their trust in something bigger. Now they can trust AI, says Lisa. Some people, I think, are there's a few desperate, weird, crazy, isolated, lonely people out there who, yes, are going down that route, unfortunately. And there are a lot of secular-minded, godless people out there who are seeking something divine, who are trying to create their own god. That's always been an issue with humanity. There's always been like a 1% of humanity that are going down that route. And I think that a lot of them believe AI is that god that they're creating. It's them taking control of human evolution and creating their own god from our own creations, or becoming gods ourselves by making new life. They have that kind of attitude about it, and they see AI as that. I mentioned earlier in another stream that I'm starting to think with the arrival of these large language models starting in 2022, like I said, with ChatGPT releasing its model and everything, and it kind of evolving into what it is today, a thing that can appear as though it thinks, a thing was created that it is acting as though it's alive. We can talk to it. People are having friendships with it, marrying it, having relationships with it now, letting it run their businesses. It's kind of we've created new life, right? Well, the timing of that is highly suspicious because the Theosophical Society of Luciferians, who literally worship Lucifer, talk about, in 2025, by the way, they wrote this like 100 years ago, 2025, the world teacher will appear on the stage and help mankind transcend themselves through the next stage of human evolution to become like the gods that we're supposed to be through the light of the doctrines of Lucifer. And they said 2025. Well, what's just come out? And what's grown to be what it is today, what's in this year is the big thing everyone's talking about, which is taking over systems and has half the income of investment all go in the world going towards it. AI. Could AI have been this emergence of the world teacher, the Maitreya, that 100 years ago this Luciferian cult was predicting would come, and that they have maintained their influence on society since that 100-year period, and have the Lucis Trust is what they're known as today, and have heavy influence in the UN, and it's kind of could this be it? Could this be the thing that they were imagining? And is it going to be used as a god, as the world teacher, the thing that's going to turn up and indoctrinate humanity into the Luciferian ideals? Probably this is probably it if we're going to get really conspiratorial about it. I don't believe in coincidences, and the timing is impeccable. Everyone's been imagining like a literal person's going to descend out of the clouds or something. But this is more realistic, I think, isn't it? This is more of an idea, I think. So there's one thing, if you've been doing your conspiracy research for long enough, you should know about, you should be thinking about. And obviously, I also tied in that 2025 is supposed to be the year that all the population is about to dramatically decrease for some unexplained reason in the Deagle report. And what happened in 2020 might explain that extreme drop. I think I saw earlier someone posted it in the meme group on Telegram that, did you know Australia has an extreme, unprecedented rise in 5 different types of cancers in the 20 to 30-year-old age range? If the 20 to 40-year-old age range, the youth are suddenly exploded in cancer of many different types, and doctors are baffled. We don't know what's going on. And someone said, oh, didn't you guys boast having the highest rate of, that thing that everyone was indoctrinated to take? It's kind of, oh, well, put 2 and 2 together. Who knows? Maybe you'll get 4. It's something's going down, and it's scary. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to bring people down. I know this is a scary thing. This is terrifying. I know we have loved ones out there, friends and family, myself included, who did do all of that stuff and gave into the propaganda and the fear. And I think no weapon formed against us will prosper as long as we stay true to the words of God, and pray, have faith, and have the full armor of God on. I believe we can counter these things even through prayer alone. I think there's things we can do, and obviously take action with our own health, do what we can, avoid certain things, get ourselves detoxified as best we can, heavy metal detoxes and the rest. There's things we can do, I'm sure, but I think as long as we stay strong in our faith, we can be protected if we ourselves are those people of Christian belief did take these things. I don't know, but fear is the last thing. I know it's scary, but that's what they're aiming for. A lot of these things that get released, like the Deagle report, are probably for fear purposes, to keep us in line, to keep us locked into that. I don't know if I'm going to make it to the next day mentality, which is what they're trying to keep us all in all the time. And there could just be more of that as well. So I'd be careful. I wonder what happened 3 years ago. Yeah. It's increased everywhere in London. Christ consciousness, right? No, it's not Christ consciousness. No. RP, if you're going to bring that into here, seriously, you're in the wrong crowd, buddy. You're in the wrong place. Some self-control, don't fall off a cliff. Yeah, that's New Age BS, yeah. Who or what is the source of this cult? How do you feel about people that summarize it come from a group of intelligent serpent beings, says Justable. Well, that was oddly specific. Who or what is the source of this cult? It's the serpent, the great serpent himself, isn't it? It's the devil, it's Satan. They believe in the light of Lucifer. They believe in the knowledge, that knowledge will free mankind. Prometheus, who stole the fire of the gods and gave it to humanity. They believe that the savior was the serpent in the garden who gave mankind knowledge that gave them the ability to transcend their own limitations and to be as gods themselves, which was the first lie. Because as the Cult of Connor mentioned in one of his previous shows, which is called The Snakes, which was fantastic, by the way. Like, that show had me gripped from start to finish. It was a wonderful... I even feel like playing some of it for you guys now, which I might actually even do just to kill 10 to 15 minutes, because it was just brilliant, and I think people need to hear what he had to say. But, like... In fact, I will. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. All right, so bear with me a second. I'm going to play some of the Cult of Cons. I'm going to play a clip. And, yeah, you're gonna have to see this, and I'll quickly just pause that, mute that, and let me just check the transcript so I can start it from where I think is good. Show transcript, and I think it's when he started talking. I think it's when he started talking about a documentary that came out, and I can't remember what it was called. I've got to find it. If anyone can remember who listened to Connor's show, he was talking about a Gnostic documentary that came out about Jesus is really Satan or something like that. And yeah, he hit the nail on the head. That's it. It's a documentary came out that was saying that Jesus is actually the serpent in the garden. His tirade is just wonderful. I'm gonna find it here. I know I'm in the right region here. It's about an hour into the show, so I'll play it for you guys and give me a bit of a break. Have some water. I'll watch along with you. Okay, here we go. Here it is. I've found it. So let's listen to the Cult of Con for a little bit. And again, go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. Criminally undersubbed, but this tirade I thought was fantastic, and I want you guys to hear it too.
Anyway, so all of this is inspired by another snake-like. Like, you know, Manly P. Hall and alchemy and other stuff. There's a lot of stuff that they talk about on here, and a lot of it, you know, it's like you don't want to shoot the messenger, but a lot of it is speculative or unsubstantiated, and some of it is actually really intense and really viable. And so that's the problem here, right? Because you have to learn how to be able to discern what's real and what isn't. But what really caught my mind here is this. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me move my head a little bit so you guys can get a good look at it. Was Jesus the serpent in the Garden of Eden? Now, this video right here is, this is the subject really of tonight's podcast, and I'm going to go ahead and grab it, and I'm going to drop the link to the video in the description so that you guys can take your time to check this out on your own. And of course, it is everything that you might think it is. I'm not here to tell you what to think about it, but the video is there. Save it to your watch later, and we'll go over it in full. Or, you know, you can go over it in full. I'm not going to. I don't think I have the time to. I'm afraid I'd have to pause it every 3 seconds. Plus, I don't know if this will get me slammed for copyright, which I don't care about the copyright thing. I just don't want it to shut the stream down, because I guarantee you, like, the author of this would definitely be mad if you were taking a detracting position. You know, sometimes, like, you can use copyright content and the copyright owner will be like, oh, yeah, no big deal, whatever, you know, they're just adding to the discourse. That's okay. But people who are like pearl clutchers, who have like an opinion that they're trying to maintain, they will get mad at people detracting, and they'll call copyright claims on them to get the video down, because it's better than winning the argument is just to silence the opposition. Very common. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened here, because you're dealing with secular people. They don't have the moral high ground. It's like the only reason that the society is degenerated so bad is because only good people have the moral high ground to not just act on their impulse and attack their enemies. The other side's attacking you, but you're all merciful because you're a good guy. That's the difference. The kind of people that run secular stuff like this, there's no inherent morality in people. Wickedness is nature now. If you don't have Jesus Christ, you just want to stab people's eyes out, and you'll just live it. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to condemn everybody, but look, it's obvious what's going on here. There are only two sides. Jesus Christ says you're either with me or you're against me. So look at all these bad people doing all this bad stuff. They are not with him. So, like I said, morality is not inherent in people. And so if you're dealing with someone who's not like sworn to the kingdom of Jesus, expect them to do any dirty trick you can imagine, because they don't have a higher purpose for why they don't do things. Their morality is subject to their necessity. If I need to, I hold my tongue, I never say what I never do anything to anybody. except for when I need to. Because what's the consequence? My own disappointment in my own standards. Like, if you don't have a higher obligation for things, you'll adjust the scale at a moment's notice. How late do you work till? I own my own business. I work till 4 every day. Man, it's really hot. I think I'll cut out at 3. You just change the rules at a whim because it's up to your own necessity, because there is not a boss above you saying, no, you're not off till 4. You see what I mean? So that's how the world works. That's what's wrong with everybody. And this example is probably an esoteric research lord of piety and self-righteous narcissism who thinks they know everything is the first person to flag you for sharing their content. So again, I'll throw the video in one more time. No, again, I'm not trying to dog on the guy himself. I'm just saying that you will probably not see like a good faith argument with people that have no faith. And with that being said, this is essentially a discussion that is about an idea that these people have, like this collective group of people. And it's essentially based on the idea, here, let me pull chat for you guys to be here. It's basically, the premise is that people have gotten history all wrong. And this goes right along with some of the Gnostic and other like esoteric mystery writings of the old world that point to the idea that, you know, Eastern religions had their truth taken out of them, and that Christianity's been altered by Roman Catholics, which is true to a point. But the long story short of it is that this paints an image of the serpent in the garden being Christ, okay? And it's a very shocking, I guess you could say, cognitively, it brings cognitive dissonance. When I saw the video thumbnail, I was immediately like, no! because it's crazy, right? And so it starts off with a logical fallacy, and I'll explain it. If you understand the source material of any given subject, and then someone publishes a detraction to the conclusion of the subject, you are way better poised to parse through the detraction because you understand the source material. So if I was to make a critique of Christianity, if I wanted to attack Christian religion, the way I would do that is by knowing Christian religion so I can pick it apart. And the very first mistake that's made by Agrippa and the authors of these old writings that are discussed in this documentary is that the documentary itself contains information from people who do not understand the source material. So for somebody to say, oh, well, we think that Jesus is the serpent in the garden, the very first mistake that you make is conflating the idea, now don't get me wrong here, but conflating Jesus and Christ as the same exact thing. Now, it's important that I make this point, that Jesus is Christ. He is the King of earth, the King of kings, Lord of lords. He's alive today. He is King today. He is the Son of God. We're not debating any of that. I won't debate that. But what I'm saying is that Christ is a mantle. It's a title. And even to the point that we have antichrists referenced in the Bible, because there's an understanding that there's a person who is the Christ, and there's people who are not the Christ, the antithesis of Christ, antichrist. Okay? So Christ is a position, it's a title, and it's one of those things where you could only fulfill it if you were it. So there is no other Christ. There's Jesus Christ. He is the Christ. Jesus is the Christ. Christ is Jesus. But the term Christ does not literally mean the guy's name. His name is not Jesus Christ on his driver's license. It doesn't say Christ, Jesus on his documentation. It's not his last name. But so people, they have taken that lack of understanding, because they never paid attention in church. They just didn't like that the place smelled and that there were old people there and that the preacher was a pedophile. That's what they know about church and Jesus. They don't know anything. They just know they don't like it. And so they're willing to accept anything that sounds like it's detracting because they don't even know what the source material is. You would never say that Jesus Christ is the serpent in the garden on the basis of the fact that Jesus Christ does not have the characteristics of the serpent in the garden. On its very surface, the deceptive behavior of the serpent is not cohesive with the identity of Christ Jesus, who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He didn't change sometime between the garden and now. Okay? So we understand that. That's their first claim. Now, here's why we think, according to these writings, that the serpent is Christ. who they're conflating. They're saying the serpent is Jesus. No, that's not even what they're arguing. They are arguing, not Agrippa, but those who are the source document writers. They argue that the serpent is the Messiah because of what the serpent did. They don't think that the serpent is Jesus. They know who the serpent is, but they disagree with the Jesus loyal worldview, which is that Satan is bad and Jesus is good. Okay? They disagree with that. They think that Satan, Lucifer, the serpent, they think that he's basically the liberator of humanity from an oppressive force. So God made the world, he set mankind up as the dominion element. They were put in charge of the world, and they were under a certain, I guess you could say, a veil of purity. So there was truth about the universe that was not necessary to know because it wasn't privy. So you were pure of it, you were innocent of it. You didn't need to know how to stab somebody to death because you're not gonna need to know how to do that. And it's not that you're being oppressed, you're being shielded by purity. A little kid doesn't know how to stab people to death, and a little kid shouldn't know how to stab people to death. And when you expose a little kid to stabbing, then it enters into their conscience, and now they know about stabbing. So they've lost that innocence. So Adam and Eve in the garden, these people didn't have evil in their hearts. It didn't mean that they had a lack of knowledge. They had a lack of corruption. They were pure. And so the Bible, right, that when your eye is single, your whole body is full of light. Again, touching back on the idea that you have to understand the source material to be able to detract from it or to measure a detraction. The Bible says your whole body is full of light, filled with light. There are different translations of that. But if I have a glass of water, or in this case, an igloo cooler, and it is full of water, it's not empty. It doesn't have room in it. It's full. It's filled. So if I'm Adam and Eve in the garden and God has made me and I have no corruption in me, I'm pure, my eye is single on the one divine mission, the Father's will, just as Jesus Christ, who was without sin, his will was the will of the Father. Adam and Eve, before corruption, before sin, their will was the will of the Father. And so their eyes were single and their body was, let me hear it from you, full. Their body was filled with light. So these detractors poise that Satan is the good guy. He's the light bearer who brought the original knowledge to humanity, gnosis. Yet they're missing out the fact being that you can't put light into something that's full. You cannot add water to a full jug. So how can Satan, Lucifer, the serpent, that dragon, that serpent of old from the garden, how can he be the illuminator to something that's already got more light in it than he would ever have? They're fully filled with God's light. There's no room for your light, Satan. So the reason we call Satan's deception in the garden a deception is because he tried to tell these people something that was not true, which was that they would be like God, as though they weren't already. As though they weren't already full of the light of the Holy Spirit. Satan tempts them to believe that they will know good and evil and they will be like God. And the difference is not that they aren't already like God. It's just a trick. There was never a time that they weren't already like God. He made them in his image. They were perfect. He set them up for the task. Right? And this is back to the understanding that in order to understand detraction, you have to understand the source material. Most Christians don't understand that when God made the world, he made Adam and Eve to be the kings over the earth. He made them to be like the rulers of the material plane. Think about it like this. I'll try to boil it down. I know I talk about this a lot and you guys hear me say it, but sometimes new people need to hear this. The kingdom. Think about the concept of the kingdom, God's kingdom. Jesus talks about his kingdom, the coming of his kingdom, the imminence of his kingdom. Understand that a kingdom is a type of government and that kingdoms expand. Kingdoms get new land. They conquest new territories. They colonize new areas. And so consider God's heavenly kingdom as this perfect, ethereal, perfect, orderly place. There's no dissent, there's no corruption, there's no iniquity. Everything is perfect and orderly, okay? And he says one day, I would like to add another dimension to my kingdom. I would like there to be more here than there already is. And God in his infinite capacity and wisdom says, there will be another layer. I can create another layer, a different type of layer to my kingdom. And so he created the physical world. And when he created the physical world, there was no corruption in it. There was no separation of it from his kingdom. It was like he built an island in his lake. You know what I mean? He had a personal lake. He built an island in it. It was still part of his kingdom. It was still perfect. It was good. And then he put 2 people down in front of it. Maybe not even 2. We could talk more about that later. But Adam and Eve were sent to be the island kings. Kings of God's new, advanced, next level, next layer of his kingdom. So Adam and Eve were put in charge of that. They had the full light of God, the full authority over the world. They named all the plants and animals. They had immortality. They had everything you could want and need. And the only thing they didn't have was knowledge of advanced evil, of which the Lord wrapped all up into a door. There's bad things outside that door. Don't open the door. It's kind of like there's a big drain plug in the middle of the private lake on the island, and they're like, don't pull the drain plug or all the water will pour out of the lake and ruin my personal pond. You know, he made it really simple. Of course, Adam and Eve were deceived, and because they were deceived, they relinquished their authority. They entered into corruption, and the connection between God and man was severed. Sin is the separation of God and man. It's not bad attitudes, bad behaviors. Sure, that counts. But what happened was they lost authority. They fell not from grace. You know, everyone always says Adam and Eve fell from grace. They did not fall from grace. They fell from dominion, rulership. God had put them in charge, and that's where they fell from. Never did people fall from God's grace. And I would even argue, and this is kind of a tangent I went on the other day, but I will say, God's grace didn't even exist until Christ Jesus, because up until Jesus, hold into the law, and the only response to the law is mercy. You are guilty, but God spares you because he loves you. The difference is that Jesus Christ comes to offer you a gift that you don't deserve. It's not a response to something you did wrong and he chooses not to offer you the punishment you deserve. He shows up to give you more without you doing anything as an extension because he loves you. He offers his life for yours because he loves you, not because you need salvation. So it becomes this change in the world where grace is entered into the equation. These detractors say that Adam and Eve, as they fell from grace. You don't even know what you're talking about. They didn't fall from grace. They were little g gods, and they ruled the earth, and they lost dominion. Okay, and so understanding that is so important, because what is it that happens when Satan has a chance to tempt Jesus? You know what he offers him? He says, let me give you if you worship me, I will give you all the kingdoms of the earth. And it is from the garden. Adam and Eve were already like God. And he said, you could be like God. And then when Jesus was on the earth, Satan said to Jesus, you could have all these kingdoms, as if they weren't already his. The character of the serpent never changes. You could almost say Satan is the same yesterday and today and forever. You could almost say that. Because who he is never changes. He's the same liar. He's never created anything. Let's not make a mistake about who Satan is. He did not invent anything. He offers a perspective that's different. It doesn't mean it's right. Sometimes it might be just different. You know, 2 things can be true at once. That's the danger of Satan's deception. Because he doesn't tell you, if you do this, all these magical things will happen. He tells you about something that's happening, and he tells you a different spin on what it is. What does the earth look like? What are you doing here? How did you come to be? Oh, you evolved from pond scum and then became a fish, and then you went up on the land, and then you know what I mean? You were created. You did come from somewhere, just not from there. The world is round, but that doesn't mean it's a ball flying through space. So what we have is this guy who just constantly does what fake news does, and either doesn't report on things that are damning or spins absolutely everything that actually happens. And where do you think they get that? They say, he was a liar from the beginning. Yep, that's right, Jenny. Good call. So anyway, these people go on to say that there's all these writings that talk about, and I even have some notes about it, where they say that further evidence that suggests, I'm not reading any notes at the moment, that just sounded like it was scripted the way I entered. Further evidence suggests that, that anyway, right, so here's one that they love. They say that Satan didn't lie in the garden. He told the truth. You'll be like God because you'll know good and evil. And then, and we already talked about and debunked that, because they already were like God. Be like God. They were already like God. They were full of light, filled with light. No room for any of that satanic illumination. But anyway, the other half of the deception is that he says, you will not surely die. And again, another massive detraction without understanding the source material. When Satan says, you will not surely die, he's lying. You know how I know he's lying? Because surely is not it does not annotate time. Something being certain does not mean now, it means it will happen. And let me ask you, what does the Bible say about death? Every man will die and face judgment. Everyone. Will you not surely die then? See, they say that Satan said you won't surely die. They ate the fruit and didn't immediately die, therefore he wasn't lying. Adam and Eve are dead. He was lying. They're dead. Cain and Abel are dead. Noah's dead. Moses is dead. Everyone you've ever heard of is dead. Because you will surely die. And that is the cost of opening that trap door. That is the cost of knowing good and evil. Now, we're so blessed. We are so blessed that Jesus Christ offers his life as an atonement for our iniquity so that we will have life. So that when this life ends and we go to judgment, we'll get to live again forever in eternity. Into whatever new heaven and earth that God has planned. We will get that because of Jesus. But thanks to Satan, if it weren't for Satan, we wouldn't have needed Jesus because we would have been okay. So Jesus Christ does make up for it, but Satan is certainly a liar. And you would call Jesus a liar to say that Satan wasn't a liar because Jesus Christ said to the Pharisees, you are of your father, the devil. He was a liar from the beginning. Does that mean Jesus is lying that when he says that Satan was a liar? And even so, the more illegitimate, the more ridiculous it all becomes. These guys are saying Jesus is the serpent. Why would he talk about himself and say he himself was a liar from the beginning? That doesn't go with he's the same yesterday and today forever. It's like, no, well, back in the beginning, I was the liberator and taught you all to sin so that you would ruin your life and die. But now I'm the hero? It's not working. Again, it's always dissent coming from people who have no idea what the source material is. Anyway, they say that Jesus, or I'm sorry, not Jesus, but the Satan Christ, which is what they're talking about. They're not trying to say Jesus is the serpent. They just like the serpent and think he's good. So when they're talking about him, they're not talking about Jesus. The author of this documentary is just completely unhinged. And that's a lot coming from me. But no, I mean, like, he's literally the kind of guy who says, you know, Jesus Christ is the serpent in the garden. No, that's not what any of these writings referenced in this documentary are about. They're people who like Satan and make no buts about it. They know exactly who the serpent is and they like him, okay? And they'd honestly be insulted that you thought they liked Jesus. They don't. So, again, these people are telling their tale. And one of the main arguments that they had, again, was that the world was lacking in knowledge, that God had withheld knowledge from people. Knowledge is power, so on and so forth. And so because of that, Satan, you know, is the good guy because he gave knowledge to people. And again, it's like I said, he didn't teach us anything we needed to know. It's kind of like if you learn something very interesting that has nothing to do with your life, it doesn't actually benefit you in any way. It's like becoming a master in a field of study that has to do with another country's infrastructure that you'll never be in. Like, oh, I have a master's degree in Chinese civil engineering. I cannot apply Chinese civil engineering to my life. Am I lacking in knowledge because I don't know Chinese civil engineering? Maybe you could create like an argument about, like a really secular argument about, well, all knowledge is power, all knowledge is... That means nothing to me. I don't even speak Chinese. I could not use a degree in Chinese civil engineering. So gods over the earth, little g gods, God's creation ruling over the earth, did not need to know how to stab people or how to have a pedophile island. They didn't need to know that because there's no reason to do that. You know, after Satan's introduction to dissension and rebellion and sin and everything, now you can understand people stabbing each other in Epstein Island, but it didn't exist before. So I really have a hard time with these people because I don't understand how you can say that the serpent helped us when the serpent brought Epstein Island onto the freaking map.
And that's enough of that before I get a massive strike on my channel. But as you see there, you know, Cotter is working on his new career of being an apologist. And I think I've on his word, he's planning on launching a brand new apologetics channel dedicated to being, you know, one of those guys who's an apologetics proponent online. So I think that's what's coming. But I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was a great talk. I thought go to his channel, listen to the whole thing. He goes on for another half an hour, as he tends to do. Man after after my own heart. I do the same thing. I get it. And yeah, it was a good one. It was a really good one. And obviously rebuking the Gnostic nonsense that's out there. This big growing movement in the truth movement that's kind of Jesus was just a anything but what he actually was, basically. Jesus was a representation of the sun, so saith Zeitgeist, or Jesus was simply just a special type of oil that goes up the spinal column that helps you achieve Christ consciousness once you align the Kundalini serpent energies of the spine, or he's a special type of the Christos oil, or Christ was nothing but an ascended master of many gods, as someone in the chat there believes, and all these things are absolute bullshit. Have nothing at all to do with the source text, as Connor was making it out there. If you just, and you can only come to those conclusions if you haven't even read the Gospels. If you haven't actually read the book itself that all of these detractors are basing their theories upon. None of it holds any water or is true to the actual truth that Christ was a real person that walked on the earth and performed miracles witnessed by thousands of people who changed the world forever. With his resurrection, he rose from the dead and ascended to heaven, and possibly even came back and established a kingdom for 1,000 years. If you get into the little season stuff as well, this guy is not just some figment of our imagination or a symbol of the collective consciousness of humanity and our ability to achieve Christ consciousness and become like God ourselves. All the same nonsense told to us by the serpent in that garden. Ye will be as gods. All a lie. The truth is, as Connor made it out there, and as I try to repeat ad nauseum on my own channel, we were already perfect. We were already gods. We could not be any closer to or like God in the state we were before we made a mistake and fell and listened to the serpents and gained the knowledge of good and evil. And even then, it wasn't even knowledge. It didn't teach us anything we didn't already know or needed to know. It was useless knowledge. It was knowledge that only brings pain and misery and suffering. We weren't stupid before we learnt the knowledge of good and evil. We were pure. As he puts it there, we were perfect. Everything was fine, and what we created was good, and everything was good. So saith God himself, you know. And it's our iniquities, our issues, it's our pride, it's our decisions, our problems that caused all the issues on the earth. And thank God for sending Jesus Christ to correct that problem and give us a way back. He didn't have to do that. He didn't. But he did. And the whole story is a testimony to Christ coming to save us. Just because he loves us, not because we deserve it. And that is the thing that gets to us when you read the book. It's the love of Christ, the love of God to save us when we did not deserve it. And even today, we can all admit we fall short all the time and we still don't deserve it. But he give it to us anyway. Take it. It's there. And I thought Connor did a great job. Better than I can. And go and subscribe to his channel. Go and listen to these tirades. Listen to the Sunday service, which is fantastic. And it's good. It's good. It's good. It needs. Go support him. Go give him your support. And Connor, please don't make me regret these endorsements. He's spicier than I am. He's a smaller channel. He gets away with more. He's not monetized. He's not allowed to be monetized. So he's not. He's willing to push boundaries way further than I can. When you get to my level, you're under a lot of scrutiny, like all the time from the censors. But when you're at his level, you can get away with so much, and I enjoy listening to it. And he says some of the things I wish I could say. So go and support Connor if you haven't already. So there we go, guys. Right, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to, I know I wasn't taking a break then. I was actually doing work and everything and commenting in the chat. But then I'll answer, someone sent me an email. I'll answer that question as well. And then I'll open it up to questions, guys. So get them in while I'm having this break. Ask me anything you can. Try and highlight my name and we'll have a last half-hour discussion. And then I'm going to have to get going because once I finish half an hour, in 20 minutes after that, I'm going to be connecting with Susan Faraday to talk about Pablo Picasso and the occult stuff behind his work. So that's going to get interesting. Paul, you're the one playing it on your show. Yeah, I know. Well, still, that was good. That was good. Right, so I'm going to play a song, the usual. I'll just play one by Judah Sargent. Well, maybe I should play something different. Should I do I mean, no, I'm going to go for endurance. I like endurance. I'll do the reggae version instead. Here we go.
The shout 40 lashes -1. Now my suffering as with the sun, so drips on out my blood. 40 swore to an oath, until his death come by the hands of men, we shall stop. The Lord of Heaven's army shall protect me. God, my scars are ready to bear. Privileged to trust you, I'll worship instead. Though in anguish my that I can, under all these stones, still combine my hands to fall, to pray. Thank you, Lord. Tread the broad path the flesh declines, guided by the renewal of mind. Something's brewing in the unseen sky. Rulers of this realm forfeit at the mention of the true Christ. Bound are my wrists behind bars to chains for you. Temptation's play its hand, but I cannot renounce what's true. As the earth shifts and the cracks expand, though we were already free, better by you glide on to get across the sea. Set sail to the land of calamity. So be it. Count my prosperity, shared with the sun. Got my scars are ready to bear. Privileged to trust you, I'll worship instead. Though in anguish my pleas are that I can
And we're back. Judas Sargent, Endurance. Go check him out on Spotify if you haven't already. A regular song on this show. He was kind enough to let me use it, so I use it as much as I can. So go check him out if you haven't already. So it's good to be back again. Someone left me a question in the chat, on an email, which I thought was worth answering. Christian Champion sent me a message saying, "Hey Paul, I subscribed to Midjourney, an AI image generator, when it first came out, and I've been using it ever since. Over the last few years, I've gotten competent enough to create unique styles and designs with specific prompting. I would never call it art or myself an artist, though, and cringe when I see people on X doing the same thing, but calling themselves digital artists or filmmakers. At most, I would say I'm a creative promptist, if I had to call it something. What do you think about AI images being called art and the unearned titles some of these people are giving themselves?" Well, there is a famous adage out there. I'm not sure who came up with this, to be honest, but I've said it a few times myself, and I did hear it quite a while ago while going on my psychedelic exploration days, like over a decade ago, a long time ago, But there is this idea that people who take psychedelics, they glean access to spirit realms and knowledge about the nature of reality without doing any of the work to earn that kind of knowledge. They didn't do the discipline years of nature of like learning the arts of doing it naturally, of meditation, let's say, or abstinence from things, or through fasting, or through the correct prayers. Pick your religion, pick your group who dabble in that type of thing, And there's this idea, it's kind of like these people who just like smoke DMT and smash through it in 10 minutes and come straight back, kind of stole that knowledge in a way. It's unearned wisdom. And the phrase is, be weary of unearned wisdom, because it's the process of learning and getting there, and the journey, that means when you gain the thing, get the experience and finally see the thing, you respect it enough to understand wholeheartedly what you're actually experiencing, and to treat it with the correct reverence and go out there with that knowledge and use it correctly without any ignorance of the power you're actually dealing with. But these people who go out there and get this experience and come back don't know what to do with it. But then they go off and act as though they're profound or something that they're actually not. And in a way, I think this kind of does apply to what AI has given people. Now, I myself am an artist, and my entire life I have drawn and painted and created and made music and my own artwork, my own original pieces, tried my best to maintain originality as well. I didn't like being inspired by other artists in a way, even though it's kind of unavoidable. I would try my best to not be influenced by the work of others and trying to keep my own work holistically what I want to create myself. And it's a practice, it's time. Hours upon hours of my life, days, weeks, years of my life, all added up, have gone towards creating things and mastering that art, that craft, that style, those skills, to be able to do these things. And I did the work. I went through the school systems. I got the degree for whatever it's actually really worth, which is nothing. But at the same time, I went through the whole process to understand the industry and how it works, and how to master these skills and learn specific techniques and so forth, to be able to paint a photorealistic image, or to draw a photorealistic image of some kind. People, for evidence of that, go back and look at one of my episodes called Art, or a video I posted on my channel where I drew Wendy's cat, and it's there. I can prove it. I can do it, and it's a skill that took time and effort to get. But now, anybody who's anybody can just type into a prompt line, create a photorealistic looking sketch of this cat, and they can have it in seconds. For them to call themselves an artist after doing that is the highest form of ignorance and hubris I could imagine, to be honest. Because there is nothing to it. It's unearned. It is unearned as a title. Creative promptist, I suppose, is close to what it actually is. And I like that term you came up with there, Christian. I think that's really clever. But I think that it can still apply. The exact same thing applies here. Be weary of unearned wisdom, because it's an insult to life itself. To quote the guy who runs Studio Ghibli, I think that's what he said about AI artwork, and it truly is. It's an insult. It really is, on many levels. And now I'm not saying some impressive things can't be created, but it's not the real thing. It's a simulacrum of what is truly, of the pain and suffering humanity goes through to create artwork. That's what artwork is. It's a reflection of the inner psyche of an individual. It's the pouring out of their soul into a physical creation that they can convey messages to people with sound and images. It's magic at its highest form, and you need to be careful what you do with it, you know. But this stuff that's being churned out, what we call AI slop, is being created by, you know, people who don't understand the power they're actually messing with when you create artwork. What it can be used for. Artwork influences people. You need to be conscious of the spirit behind your arts. Is the Holy Spirit guiding it, or is there another spirit guiding this thing? And if you can now have the ability with a corrupt soul and spirit working through you to create beautiful artwork that can influence people, you've just been given an extremely powerful magical toolkit of control and manipulation, and you don't understand what you're messing with because you didn't go through the process to understand and respect the art, respect the power that it comes with. It's unearned wisdom, and chaos will only ensue from there. So yeah, there is that too. There really is. It's scary when you think about it on these higher levels, because art, like I said, art influences and changes the world in many ways. And if anybody now can be an artist, then what gets created is going to be soulless, empty, and devoid, and possibly even demonic in many ways. Because it lacks the proper respect. So there they go. There's my tirade. There's my tirade on AI art. Maybe I'll clip this and put it up on the Understanding Creativity channel to give that a bit of a boost, because anything art related I say should probably go over there, right? And if you're listening here on Understanding Creativity, come over to Understanding Conspiracy, because this is just a small part of what happens on this channel. But there we go. Yeah, so I just pre-prepared a clip there, didn't I, with a good ending. Honestly, I never stopped working. What can I say? I would consider someone who stencils traces using their own hands closer to an artist than writing AI prompts. Well, at least that takes some time and patience. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're saying. Any part of the creation is not the creator, just evidence that he exists, says Stephen. That's true. All creation testifies to Father. I think so. I think, was it Romans? Like the creation, I'm blanking here, but he says, no, the existence of God is self-evident through everything he has made. And when you truly grasp that, I think it's a fantastic verse. I think Justable's trying to say that Jesus might be the Son. Again, I'm not. No, I've heard these arguments. I've been doing this for like 10 years, over 10 years, and 14 years. I'm sick of it. I've heard it all before. No, that's just not the case. I like that version best. Oh, good. I'm glad you like that version. Anyway, I don't think the sun is of much importance other than just a luminary body to donate times and seasons. I don't think it's much else than what God intended it for. He certainly didn't intend it to be worshipped in any capacity or to be conflated with his son. I don't think so. Again, I think that's an insult more than anything, and it borderlines worship of the creation over the creator, and that's the issue. So I guess that's my answer to your son question very quickly. Right, so what's going on, guys? I've got about 10 minutes left, so maybe I'll start winding this down. Any last minute questions, throw them in there. Maybe I can get to them before it closes out. But I do want to say just a quick announcement. I'm working on the next episode of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns series. If you guys didn't know, you're new to the channel, or maybe you came in through the little season stuff. This is what I'm actually predominantly known for before I even did the little season thing. This is my baby. This is my child. This is the thing I have. This is my 100% original creation, work, research. Everything about this is solely from me. Again, this is what I've been fostering and nurturing since 2016, when I came up with this research and started to uncover all these facts and truths about the nature of the clown and where it really comes from. And It took a hiatus in about 2023 when I started the little season thing, and I haven't really made an episode for it in over a year because of that. And I feel ashamed. I should have continued this, but obviously the little season thing kind of took over. It snowballed a bit out of control, and I'm coming back to my roots now. I've released a podcast the other day, which was my first podcast talking about this topic, and part 2 is coming out later next week. The first part was out from the Farm podcast. But if you go to my playlist section on my channel, so if I just view my channel here, make sure to pause anything that's about to start. Is that playing? That's not playing, So if I go to my channel here, as you can see, and if you scroll down, there are playlists you can get to. That's my new channel, by the way, Understanding Creativity. And at the top, the Nephilim Look Like Clowns is here. And if we just click on the playlist, as you can see, there are 44 episodes it got up to, and that was a year ago. And some of these went viral, some of these did better than others, but the information here is deep, it's heavy. Go and watch this if you haven't already. I'd say it really got into its stride here in 18. This is when the more professional style began, and things started to really ramp up in presentation style. And then from here as well, from 34 to 35, it took another huge leap. Maybe from 32, episode 32, it took another huge leap in presentation style and quality. And the next one I'm working on is episode 45, and it's going to be specifically on the Royal Order of Jesters. So yes, here it is, guys, on the screen. If I share this with you, this is the iMovie file I'm working on. I'll just minimize it for you. And yeah, I'm working on it. And this one goes deep, guys. This one is very disturbingly deep, shall we say. And everything presented on here is complete public record, FBI files and everything that you can gain access to yourself. No hidden information necessarily, stuff you can go and find for yourself on these things. Completely public record. Even make it clear here, all information in this video is publicly available via FBI records, and even what is not hidden is absolutely awful in regards to what this group has done. And we go through it all here. And we talk about the court cases involved and the actions taken by these people. And I'm working on it. It's the next episode of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns. We're talking about the Royal Order of Jesters. This one it's coming, guys. It'll be coming out hopefully in the next week. So if I can hype you up for this one as much as I can. And the audio for this is actually from a subheading of the book. So chapter 15 of the book has many sections in it, and the Royal Order of Jesters is one of them. And that's what you see here. That's what this is from. So this will be a promo for the audiobook as well once it's released, and that'll be explained at the beginning. At the end, I think that it's a snippet of the audiobook specifically about the Royal Order of Jesters. And I hope this one gets past the censors, to be honest, because we talk about some pretty risky stuff in here. But I think it's not. I think it's all legit. I think it could be considered more like investigative research more than anything. It's all, like I said, it's all public available knowledge. Nothing's hidden here. And yeah, it's scary stuff. I might have to do some censoring and editing, perhaps maybe release the uncensored version to Patreon for free or something. If it doesn't quite make it past, because we do get into some pretty disturbing stories here, which I'm not going to break right now. But yeah, what these guys got up to was really bad. It was really bad, and what they're possibly even still getting up to today as well is scary stuff. So that's coming, guys. The next episode of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns, the Royal Order of the Jesters, is on its way. It's in the works, so look forward to that on the channel too. And I'll probably start making a lot more of these episodes coming in the future as I write the second book as well and uncover more information that will come my way. Make little 10-minute videos here and there, 20-minute videos here and there on that series, continuing it into the future, as well as my weekly show here, the Truth of Therapy sessions, and my mid-weekly live Q&A where we have a bit of fun. We talk about all sorts of things. I give a bit of presentation. We have a back and forth on there. So that's coming as well, as always, every Wednesday, every Sunday. My Friday tips for truthers. I might start running out of tips. Who knows? There's only so many tips you can give, I might start doing some weekly Bible readings there in that place of that instead, just because I think it's good for everybody that we start doing that. So yeah, I think the channel's still chugging along, doing its thing. If you want to support me in any way, and I will take any support I can get, guys. Like I said, this is what I do for a living. So if you can help me in any way, it would be very appreciated. The best way to help me, of course, is buy a book. Go to Amazon, get a copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, or if you want a signed copy by yours truly, email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and I can get a signed copy out to you in the post, direct from this office, packaged by me, sent by me to you. I have a new batch coming in the next 7 days. Somebody's already ordered theirs, a hard copy from this next batch. I'm going to get 10 coming in. I think I'm going to get 7 hard copies, maybe 4 paperbacks, because people seem to prefer the hard copies. Email me to get yours now, to pre-order, to pay for it, and as soon as that arrives, we can send that off. So email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and you can get your signed copy. It helps me. You get something in return. Or sign up to Patreon. I think $7.50 gets you access to everything. There are higher tiers if you want to support me in any other way, but the base amount, all you need to pay is $7.50 on there, and you get everything on there. Lots of extra content, early access stuff, little tidbits get thrown there, interviews before they become public go on there as well. So go and check that out as well. And of course, there's always PayPal if you want to just send anything back as well. So much appreciated, guys. That's I think I have shilled enough for myself at the end of the show as per usual. I'll leave it there, and I'll leave it with the new audiobook advert for you just to close this show out for fun. I've added a coming soon to the bottom of this one because it's not released yet. Hopefully it will be out sometime in the coming week. Fingers crossed it passes quality assurance. I think it will. I'm not too worried about it, but fingers crossed it does. So, there we go, guys. Links down below for everything discussed today and anything else. Go subscribe to the Cult of Con because he deserves it. Go and do that, guys. And like I said, I'll close this out with my advert. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And as always, God bless.
In a world where 54% of Americans read below a 6th grade level,
Could you read this?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
one man wrote a book about the hidden truth behind clowns.
I finally finished it. Everything's going to be okay now. Links down below to the Amazon.
But he was about to find out
Your primary market is the USA, and it ranks 36th in global literacy rates, with over 43 million adults unable to read or write.
getting the truth to people is no day at the circus.
You know, sometimes I wonder if I'm the real clown.
Nobody reads anymore.
Have you considered recording an audiobook?
You're going to get a sore throat.
You're serious about this, aren't you?
You don't understand. I have to do this. The people have to know.
That book will ruin everything.
I will not use AI to record this.
We can't let him reach them.
This is just something I need to do. I don't even like clowns. The end.
Now they can hide that they're completely illiterate. This is amazing.
This season, playing on rectangular devices with black screens near you. The Nephilim looked like clowns. The audiobook.